Hey everyone, so recently Cammus sent me over their direct drive wheelbase for me to try out and show you guys. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is a bit of unboxing, and then after that we'll get into a bit of driving. And as I'm driving, I'm going to be talking about my driving experience with the Cammus wheelbase, and I'm quite looking forward to it. 15 Newton meters, I haven't tried out something with that much torque before, so it's going to be new for me. And before I take the next step, I want to say a big thanks to Cammus for giving me this opportunity. I'm looking forward to getting into the driving. So as you can see here, we've got three boxes. We've got the wheelbase in this one, the wheel rims in here, and a few of the other pieces for the wheel, like the pedal shifter and the button box is in here. We have to assemble those two together, and then we'll put it onto the wheelbase and mount it on my rig. I don't want to go on for too long, so I want to show you inside the boxes, and then I'm going to put it together, and then we'll have another look. Firstly here, I think we'll take a look at the smaller things, like the wheel rim, and then I'm going to show you the bits that go onto it, and then after that we'll take a look at the wheelbase. So far I'm happy with how everything's been packaged. It's been really neatly done, and here we take out the wheel rim, which is just the wheel rim, the bare wheel rim, and as you can see here it is with the red band at the top. And after my brief look at it, I'm actually really impressed with the materials we have here, with the high quality metal, and the leather on it is also really nicely done. The actual feeling is really nice and sturdy, good quality, and it's got a little bit of a padding in the leather. It's very nice to hold. And on the back side of the wheel here, we have these little dimples which kind of act as a natural resting place for your fingers when you're holding the wheel. The next box we have here are some of the bits and pieces that we will add onto the wheel, like I said before, including the pedal shifters and the button box that goes onto it. So opening it up here, as you can see just below, here we have the button box with the pedal shifters just down there, along with the quick release, and we'll get that all set up shortly. And my impressions continue. It's very nicely packaged, very nice and safe in there. So with all the padding around it, it's had no problems getting here, all arrived here in good condition. And now I've just popped it out of the box, and here we go, as a bit of a closer look. Our wheels button box here does have some buttons on it. They're not the highest of quality that we might see on some other wheelbases, but they're not bad and they're perfectly fine here. And we've got a few rotary dials, a couple on this, and a couple switches, and we'll also see some more buttons on the wheelbase. We do have some nice magnetic clicking paddle shifters here. Nice to the touch, they're not too heavy, not too bad though. And now for a look what's inside the big box. So just under here, we should be able to see we've got the wheelbase here and the power supply sitting at the back with its power cables. It's quite difficult to see in here, so I'm going to take it all out and let you see it outside of the box. Here we have the wheelbase and its power supply and some cables. The wheelbase is really heavy, I'll tell you that. It's 15 Newton meters of torque, so a very chunky motor with some switches and buttons. And on this side you won't be able to see it, but if I rotate it around a little bit, you should be able to see it a little bit better now. We've got a couple rotary dials down here with a couple extra buttons. And then, like I said, on the other side we've got a button and a switch. Now when I twist it, I can feel it is completely smooth. There's absolutely no stepping whatsoever. And that's comparing it to the previous couple bases that I've used, one being a belt-driven motor, and the other one also a direct drive, but a stepper motor. This one's completely smooth, so this should be very nice to feel. And it should be very quiet when we're driving. I'm yet to experience that, but I'm sure it'll be really good. And also a really chunky power supply here, 480 watts. Now here we have the wheel itself assembled together. Wasn't too difficult, just got to put the faceplate on with the screws, then the button box behind the wheel, and then behind that we have the quick release. And the quick release itself is quite high quality as well. And then putting the wheel onto the base itself is not too difficult. Slide it over and give it a bit of a push, and it's in. And now I've just got the wheelbase with the wheel resting here, obviously not connected to anything. The lighting's not so great, unfortunately, but I'll give it a bit of a spin, and it's incredibly smooth. There's no noise coming from that whatsoever, so I'm really looking forward to feeling how smooth that is while driving. I'm just going to pause the video quickly here to say that if you want to pick up your own Cammus direct drive wheelbase, then head to the link that I have in the description of the video. From the day I upload this video and for the next 3 days, you'll be able to receive 10% off your purchase on the direct drive wheelbase, and after those 3 days are up, you'll still be able to receive 5% off your purchase. And from the day I upload this video, you'll still be able to receive a 5% discount on all other Cammus sim racing items. So be sure to head over to that link if you want to get yourself a new Cammus direct drive wheel. So here we are, we're on the sim now, and I've got the Cammus wheelbase and wheel in front of me here, and the camera should be showing that. I know it's quite dark, I might turn the brightness up in the editing, I don't know how good it's going to look, I don't have much of a better option right now, but this is what we're going to go with. I've already done just a little bit of driving to get my head around the actual sim, getting used to it again. So far there's not really that many negative things to say about the wheel, so let's just get one of the main negative things out the way that I can think of right now, and that would be it's kind of difficult for you to see. Actually, you're not going to be able to see it, I can only feel it. If you take the wheel here and you slightly wiggle it back and forward with each hand,
there's a very slight looseness to it. It's not bad, I don't notice it while I'm driving, but it is there. It's just a little bit of a wobble. But that's probably the biggest negative thing that I can really point out right now, and I think that's a good thing. That means there's a lot of good things to say about this wheel. So let me go out there and talk a little bit about the driving experience with this wheel. I'm going to pull off here. I've got stone cold tires, so we're not going to be able to drive this car very competitively for a few laps here. So I'm going to just get up to speed a little bit before we make too many comments. But one thing I will say is when the car does get loose, the force feedback really quickly pulls it back into place. And I did drive the BMW M4 GT3 around just before an ACC. It was a little bit more sluggish to correct, but that might just be because it's a front engine car with the rear engine that the Porsche is. It's very quick for the rear end to just pull around on you and spin. The Porsches are known for that, so you really do get that feeling. So the way the different cars handle and drive, that sort of comes through with this wheel. You can feel the different characteristics of different engine layouts with different cars. This wheelbase does have 15 Newton meters of torque, but you're never going to want to run it that high unless you want to break your wrists. So there's a lot to play with here, and you're never going to be complaining that there's not enough torque on this wheelbase. So right now, I believe I'm running at about 60%. I adjust it in the wheelbase's software and an ACC, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm sitting, but I think 50 to 60% is where I'm running at the moment. And where I have it is a really good point. I think it's not overpowering, and my arms aren't going to get tired while I'm driving, but it's also not too weak that I can't feel what's going on. And of course, right now I'm not driving at all well. I'm just discussing my thoughts and feelings as I go here. I'll drive a little bit better shortly. But I also want to talk about maybe the biggest thing that I've noticed while driving with this wheel in comparison to wheelbases that I've used in the past. And I've used the gear-driven wheelbases, the belt-driven wheelbases, and a direct drive with a stepper motor, so there's a little bit of steppiness in that direct drive, but this thing is absolutely dead smooth. So if I come back to a stop real quickly here, when I rotate the wheel, there is complete smoothness. I feel no stepping, there's no notch in the middle, it's just smooth the whole way around, which I find incredibly impressive. I've not felt that in any other wheelbase that I've driven so far. So when I'm going through turns, all I feel is the exact force that the force feedback's trying to give me. I'm not feeling all those little notches and steps that the motor has inside, or the gears and like the belt-driven wheels have. I'm just feeling exactly what the game's producing, and that force is being translated right to my hands, and I can tell exactly what I need to do with the wheel and how to react to what the car is doing on the track. So I can say already, for this wheelbase at its price, you're not going to find much else with this level of smoothness and force for this price. You're going to be looking well over probably $1,000 for something that's like this. Obviously there are other direct drives that I haven't tried yet, new ones that are coming out, and I can't comment on those. But for this one, it's definitely on the sort of mid to lower end of the price spectrum, especially for direct drives. And if you're wanting to upgrade from, let's say, a Logitech or a Thrustmaster, this would be something perfect for you to go for if you're purely on PC. If you're doing any console racing, this might not be the wheel for you, unless you get an adapter. You can get adapters that work for the PS or the PlayStations. This thing is only really going to suit you on PC sims, so just keep that in mind. I know my driving is a bit all over the place and slow at the moment, but I do really want to just get my initial thoughts and impressions across while I'm thinking about it. And just like I said before, the directness of this thing is really good, especially with this particular car. As soon as I get sideways, the wheel is very quick to pull itself back into place. You've got to be actually quite careful. If your wrist gets caught in the gaps in the steering wheel, you might end up in a bit of trouble. But if that's the case, then the Cammus wheelbase will be really nice for your drifting, as it'll pull the wheel right back where you want it to be. Something a little bit like that. Honestly, this car is quite tricky to get sideways and control the slide on ACC. I found that out from I think I tried that on the Logitech, and I couldn't do it at all. This thing, that was one of my first attempts at getting sideways in this car, which isn't the car that's supposed to get sideways, and that felt pretty comfortable, if I'm going to be honest. So this thing really does help with your car control, and the same goes for pretty much any upgrade in your sim gear. It's not necessarily going to make you faster on the track, but there is a good chance that it's going to improve your consistency and the comfort of your driving. Because I've found with the lower end wheelbases, the ones that just don't produce all that much force and detail, especially the gear driven ones, there's just not all that much coming towards your arms in terms of information. It's quite difficult, especially when the car is all loose. It's difficult to find the limit unless you're really used to that wheel. But with the Cammus wheelbase, it's a lot more of a natural driving experience, especially with the smoothness of it. I think when people are brand new to sim racing and they hop into a gear-driven wheelbase, it feels a little weird and toyish, if that makes any sense. It's a bit plasticky and clunky when you turn the wheel, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it, especially with somebody that's really unfamiliar with driving in general. But if you put them behind a wheelbase like this, with the smoothness that it has, it feels a lot more true to life and natural. And you just get that directness and that feel of what the car's doing without all the in-betweens and the stepping, which gets in the way sometimes. Now I might do a separate video with a little bit of drifting just to see how I get on with that. I'm not a pro drifter by any means, I'm still developing my drifting skills, but I might do a video on that just to see how the wheel behaves and see if I'm any better doing drifting with such a smooth and direct wheel. Okay, so enough driving extra slowly, let's put a bit more effort into it. I'm going to pick up my speed now and attack a lap. It's not necessarily going to be very quick. I just want to attack this and see how the car behaves, how the wheel feels, and see how I can react to it. See if it gives me enough information to deal with how loose this thing is, because this car is extremely loose. I'm not sure if I accidentally clicked a few settings in the wrong place, but this thing is incredibly loose. That's going to make it a challenge. Let's just see how I get around this lap. Oh gosh, it's all over the place, but I can feel it, This is going to be interesting. Can I keep it within the limits? Oh, it's so sideways, it is so loose. But I've kept it facing forwards enough. Gosh, it feels like I'm driving a drift car around here. It's a car that wants to drift, but I'm trying to not drift it. Alright, up the hill we go. Man, it's so difficult to keep it straight. But the wheel is doing everything I need and to give me the confidence to keep it facing forward at least. Right, coming out the tight hairpin, getting the throttle down very carefully because this thing has no traction control. It'd be very easy to loop this thing around coming out such a tight turn. We've got a few more of those to come at the end of the straight here. It's also very tight, so we're going to get loose once again after the braking zone. Make our way outside the track to open up our entry line. I can feel the car moving in just a little bit. Broke a little bit late there, actually quite a lot late there. Right, well that's our lap invalidated, but I'm not too worried about that right now. We're just experiencing this wheel in anger. This is going to be a tricky one. Oh, very gentle on the throttle. There we go, towards the next tricky braking zone, a lot of trail braking. Bring it to the apex. Without the rear kicking out on me, there we go, we've done it. Now for the triple apex turn here at Kota. Bit of a lift, this thing doesn't have as much grip as those GT3s do. Oh, it's so sideways on throttle there, all over the curbs. To the final couple turns we go. Third gear, how much curb can we use? Oh, a little bit, I slid a bit too much over it. To the final turn, let's see what it's like. Gonna have to be gentle on the throttle one last time. Oh, way too much speed. But the wheel, as you saw, helped me pull it right back into place to get it back on the track, and off we go again. Alright, I'm not going to drive another lap now. That was a lot of effort for one single lap. Man, that felt really weird. I think I got a bit of adjusting to do on the setup, but otherwise, I'm really enjoying how this wheel feels. I love, my biggest comment is the smoothness of it. I just feel only the force that the sim is providing me, and that's exactly what I want. For this price range, that's perfect for me. Like I said, it's only for PC though. If you really want to use it on consoles, you're going to need to get an adapter, which you'll have to find somewhere else. But if you're heavily into your iRacing and ACC on PC, then that's not going to be too much of an issue for you. This weekend I'll be driving a 24 hours of Spa on iRacing, and I'm going to be using this wheel, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this wheel holds up. I love the comfort that this thing gives me. The way it's so smooth, it gives me the confidence to just keep driving for a long time, knowing what the car is going to do at all times. But for now, that's my initial impressions with this wheel and the driving experience. Very detailed, and when you hit the bumps and curbs, you can feel it. There's a bit of vibration going on. If I put my outer wheels on the curbs there, I can feel that vibration coming through the steering wheel. You can feel all the undulations and different textures on the road through the wheelbase and the vibrations that it gives you. Very useful stuff. So to everybody at Cammus, a massive thank you to sending this over. I've been really enjoying my experience with it so far, and I'm looking forward to trying it more and talking a little bit more about it in future videos. So for now, if you guys have any questions or if you want to leave any comments about the wheelbase, then be sure to do that down below. Otherwise, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye for now.